Recording is on.
Okay, so here we are. Here's the signal now. Starting, I'm at 7300. I'll go back down to 2.
Authoritative, you go out traveling. You got a pectoral tool.
Okay, now down to 200.
Okay, there's the difference. I did not.
Recording is on.
Yeah, here's the amplifier here.
Okay.
The bandpass filter is feeding into here, and then back out again into the DCR. So the amplifier is in between the filter and the DCR. Was that?
Yeah, that was my question. That was pretty quiet.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah. The schematic doesn't really show it all that well, but there is in fact there's 2 op amps in here, and we are using both. And again, we do have pots on both these resistors here, R6 and R8, to mess around with playing with them, just to see what the op. I think we'll probably end up putting a fixed resistor in the second op amp, and then just go with some variable in the front, the first one. Okay. Any other comments? I was thinking there, Ken, that shows that it really brought the DCR to life. Now I know that my DCR is not quite the same as what I think the final version was of it, but I don't think it's that far off. But a little bit of RF in the front end certainly made a heck of a difference.
Yeah, we can try that as an afterthought.
Oh, for sure, afterthought, not a, it's not for the first time out, that's for sure. Now, when I did it the night before, and again, no surprise, really. When I did it in the evening, the first time, the band was just the rig was just swamped with the. I thought all the religious stations all left 40 meters. All that stuff. No way, man! They were there big time. They were there big time.
There's one big one in the southern states somewhere. And I hear that guy all the time.
I tuned way below 40 meters and above 40 meters. That same station was there right across the whole thing. It didn't matter where I tuned the signal generator. Okay.
Yeah, supposedly the religious stations are above 7,300, aren't they?
Well, I was getting this. I even had my signal generator down to 4 megahertz feeding into that, and he was still there. He didn't disappear. He stayed with me the whole night. I saw the Lord.
Is that a sign?
So I turned everything off, went to bed, and I thought, okay, I'll give it one more try during the daytime. And of course, it worked out quite well. Anyway, it was encouraging.
Good.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to try that on the DCR afterwards.
Yeah, I did a little bit of looking in for that particular chip, and I thought it had come down in price, but I guess I was looking at the wrong item. I think I had to buy like 3,000 of those chips on the SMD version in order to get it down to about $6 or $7 or something like that. But the dip package is about $10, and I think the SMD it might be a tad cheaper, but not much. So you're into about $10 for that particular chip, but it works. I mean, originally I was going to try some of the other chips, like one of the Mars 6 or something like that. I was going to try that, but I don't know. I'm not sure if it's worth it to go and test all this other stuff when this seems to work pretty good.
Yeah, I think the Mars are a little difficult to use too. They're not straightforward like that chip is.
Well, I know Dave had trouble with the Mars 6 originally, and they ended up scrapping the Mars 6 altogether. We thought that would be an easy chip to use, but I mean, I've got a whole bunch of Mars chips here. I suppose it's not a big deal to set up a board and try it out.
No, if you got nothing better to do.
Oh, well, that's true. Get another presentation out of it, I suppose.
Yeah,
Anyway,
just put your other project aside and work on that.
yeah. Let me make note and say I'm gonna do anything. I'll put that down. All right. So, has anybody else got anything for tonight by chance? No.
Not really.
Well, I can tell you about my futile attempts to use the measure command.
Yeah, do tell.
When Dave was doing his presentation last time, I photographed a couple of the slides. The one where he talked about the links were available, and then the other one where he had his schematic diagram for whatever, I guess it was the MOSFET thing. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll see if I can make some sense of it. So what I did, I basically created an LT spice thing with one resistor and a source and a resistor and then a load, and tried to fiddle around and get the measure results to come out the way they should. And I think I sort of understand what I'm doing. The power is RMS voltage times RMS current. I can see that. I can see it on the LT spice power thing where you look at it. When I use the measure command, if I use the average of the voltage times the current over the time frame, which is 4 milliseconds in my case, I get the same number. But there's some other things I tried. I couldn't get it to work. I just don't understand enough about the measure command. I'm going to think about it and put together an email or something and see if I can get some help on this, because I'm sort of learning, but I'm not getting all that far. But anyway, that's what I've been up to.
Well, when Dave brought up all that stuff with the measure command and whatnot, many years, I think I might have mentioned it in past meetings. I was in touch base with this ham over an LT Spice circuit, in particular Stockton Bridge, and he developed an LT Spice simulation for me and gave it to me, and it has a whole measure deck in there and doing all kinds of automatic measurements, like the measure command, find commands, and then a whole bunch of math stuff going on in the background, and works quite well. I understand kind of most of it, and I was thinking maybe what I'll do is I'll show that circuit out. Well, probably maybe the next meeting we have, or the next mix, or one of the two. I don't know, depending on what we got going on for our main meeting later this month. But with the Stockton Bridge, again, it's using those things that Dave was showing us. So maybe between this circuit and what Dave was doing and whatnot, and maybe what you're doing as well, Michael, we'll get a little bit better handle on it. And probably the best thing to do in this case here, I'll upload the Stockton Bridge ASC file so that everybody could play with it at home and have a go at it.
What I couldn't figure out was Dave has an average command, volts times current, which gives you what apparently is the correct power, but he also uses an RMS volts times current. And when I do that, it comes out with a slightly different value, marginally, a bit different, 0.29 versus 0.31 or something. And I would have thought you could take voltage squared. You could take the average of voltage squared divided by the load resistance would also be power, but it doesn't work either, and I have no idea why. Those kinds of things I want to sort out. But anyway.
Yeah, what's interesting?
All in good time.
Yeah, what's interesting about that is, and I noticed it with the Stockton Bridge simulation was, and of course, when this circuit was first developed, the guy who did it for me, he had a Pentium something or other, and if you went I forget the actual time frame that you would do the simulation time. would take several minutes for Spice to work through it all and spit out the answer. But if it did that, the answer was much closer to really what what the calculation was all about was SWR. So the simulation was set up for so that the timing of it was a reasonable amount of time, so you weren't waiting for it forever. And it would give the answer wasn't correct, so it was a little bit off, which was a bit puzzling. But anyway, I guess it had the length of time, let the simulation time settle down. Maybe you're seeing something similar now with the computers we have today. That longer length of time that gives you a much more accurate answer. It's still not perfect, but it's like instead of saying like 10 to 1, it's 9.99 kind of thing. So it's close, but anyway, but with today's computers, the simulation time runtime is only a couple seconds, so it's not a big deal like it once was back in 2000 and whenever it was.
I don't know. I did a 1 kilohertz sine wave as the source and measured it for 5 cycles. So I thought that the time is like 5 milliseconds, which should be, I would have thought, long enough to get results. But anyway,
try longer.
Maybe I'll try changing that.
Yeah, try longer simulation time.
I'll do that.
Happens because, like I say, it definitely.
I'll do that.
It's with the SWR calculation in the Stockton Bridge thing. So, like I say, I'll probably bring it up at the next mixer, or maybe depending on what we've got going on at the meeting later this month.
Okay. Anyway,
yeah.
I might send you an email.
Okay. Hey, anybody else got anything? Or should we just go? Anybody else got any comments about anything? Or should we just go and do a bit of a roundtable? Okay. Well, I'll start off then. Of course, my bench is the 1253, of course, and I think the next step on that one, and I think I might have mentioned, is just to optimize the settings, so a little bit more on-air experimenting, and then just see to come up with some of where the best settings are with the op amps, and then put that to bed, and then move on to the next part of the circuit. I've also played around a little bit with trying to get my data logger project up and running, so I've been replacing the jacks that I overheated and melted and burnt, and so I've been replacing those. But the 1253 took over, so I still have a couple more of those to do. I also have an LCD screen to put in there. One more to go, and mount that in. And then once I have that all done, then I can start bugging Kevin on helping me fix up the software and get that put to bed. Another thing I've been just starting to work on a little bit is playing around with the CNC machine to get it to start doing drilling the holes. It's a pain in the neck to do the holes manually, but I didn't want to spend the time learning how to do it with the machine automatically, and I just drilled them by hand. But I think the time has come to do that. So my first time out wasn't too successful. I broke the drill bit, but anyway, we'll get there. I think maybe at the same time I'm at it, I'll work on the cutout command as well. So if I'm drilling the holes automatically, I might as well get it to cut out the board instead of sitting there with a hacksaw and cutting the boards out. Kind of makes sense anyways to do that. And and to see Howard there, and Ken, well, I already told you. So I got the delivery of all our toroids. Came up. I ordered a bunch of toroids from Diz and had them delivered to a Florida address at my in-laws' place. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and they came up. They were coming up here for a visit for Thanksgiving, so they brought that nice little package along. So I now have a lifetime supply of toroids. Who wants to make a bet that the first project I go with that I need a toroid isn't the one that I have on hand? And let's see. Another good thing that Dave and I have discovered with the JLCP or whatever it is, that board house, as long as you keep your board under 100 by 100 millimeters, the board's $2 for 5. And I think the delivery is about $5. So we've started to do our prototypes there. Now, I milled the prototype for the LT1253. It wasn't that bad of a board, but some of these other boards we're working on for the Phoenix project, we're just doing it. Well, Dave has done the design in KiCad and then send off the Gerbers off to JLCP, and then we're getting 5 boards back for about, like I say, about $7. I think it's $5 delivery and $2 for the board. So At that kind of money, yeah, especially if you don't need it right away, you might as well, you order your prototype boards like, from there. They're so cheap, right? Dang.
Yeah.
What was the name of that company?
I think it's JLCP. As we're chatting here, let me just do a quick Google here.
Oh.
JLC PCB, I believe.
Yeah, JLCPCB. Yeah, you're right. Let me, let's see. Yeah, here's. I'll put the link in the chat. Where are we here? So at that kind of money, I mean, it doesn't make it. Sometimes it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to even etch a board. Like you say, unless you want it right away, then go do your thing. But if you got a little bit of time, you can wait a month. I'm not too sure how long Dave. Do you remember, Eric? Did Dave say how long it take to get the delivery of that first set of boards in?
No, I don't remember the number of days. I think it's usually on the order of 2 to 3 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was under a month that he got it in there. So anyway, so you guys are gonna get ready with some prototypes and things like that. You might want to think about these guys. You certainly can't complain. The board seemed to be in good shape. Anyway, Dave's taking delivery of his what is it, automatic balancing robot or something that he's messing around with.
Isn't that Dave's second round for that board he sent out?
I'm not sure.
I think it is.
Oh yes, you're right, because he ordered a set of boards, got delivery, and realized he made a mistake. So he had to redo it and order another board, I think. Now, another interesting thing too is these guys will also populate your boards. And I don't know, if you're just doing resistors and capacitors, it almost might be worth it in some cases if you got a fairly big project, because the price that they have, I made notes somewhere else with the price of them, but their caps and resistors, SMD I'm talking about now, are dirt cheap. I mean, like they're like 0.004 cents for a resistor or something like that. So anyway, food for thought. Might not be, but of course the part of the fun of homebrewing is assembling the board yourself. But okay, so that's about it. That's on my bench, or what I've been up to. Let's do a little round table here. Dwayne, you're at the top of the list here on my screen. What's new with you?
Oh, hasn't been doing too much. Been a little bit playing with the Farhan's daylight radio, and substituting well, he's using regular JFETs in there. I've got a couple of the dual gate MOSFETs, the SMD version. I tried to put them in there, and I found out that there's two different versions out there. One's with the regular number, and the other one is an R, where they have the drain and source reversed on the little, was it SOT 143 board, and so I just went and designed up a little PCB board that basically double-sided. It brings it out to a 6-pin IC, 6-pin dip format, and I've got it dual-sided, so one side I can go and put on the regular 998, or the other side I can put in the 99R, and they all come out to the ball labeled, so they come out correctly. I don't know if you ever used OSH PARC for real small boards. These are about a centimeter by a centimeter. And I ordered them. Their shipping is like $5 a square inch for 3 boards. Well, in the US it's shipped. So I ordered 6 of these boards for $1.70 shipped. So those should be in about a week or two. All the other JLC PCB, PCB Way, couple other ones like that, they're all very good suppliers of boards. Right now, the thing that's really going to get you is the shipping charges on them. They've gone up quite a bit, so you have to go and check board house and see what the cheapest shipping they have on them.
It looks
But their prices are all pretty much about the same. I mean, either 5 or 10 of them for $5 or something like that, depending upon who you go with.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the threshold is, but or the difference between the U.S. or Canada. But it certainly looks like there's a dollars and cents kind of threshold as to whether you're going to get clipped for duty, and it looks like this the regular shipping, and you're just going for these 100 by 100 millimeter boards, the smaller boards. You're slipping through, and you're not getting nailed with the higher cost of shipping. Now, I was talking to somebody. Locally here, and he found he was getting some boards done, and he was getting them depopulated as well. And I think he was saying if he was it DHL, it was cheaper to have them ship it via DHL because they didn't clip him for the duty. But if it went through the regular post, he got nailed for duty and whatnot. So it was more cost effective, and he got it in a couple of days as well. So I'm not too sure what the threshold is. But I doubt I'll be populating the board, so I don't think I'll be upping the cost too much on these things anyway. One thing that came to mind when you mentioned about the reversing of the drain and source, Dwayne, I don't know, I've read off and on over the years that the drain and source you can swap around without any effect to the circuit. Do you have any experience with that? Is that true, or in your opinion?
I haven't really hadn't had any really experience with it. The only thing on the layout here is it kind of, depending upon how I laid the thing out, it swapped the gate 1 and the gate 2 around because of the layout, the way I was using it. And the SOT 143s are not a symmetrical chip. They've got different size pad for the source and the drain.
Okay. I might just grab a couple of these devices and just try something and just flip them around, do 2 circuits, one with the drain where the drain's supposed to be, and then swap the drain and source around, just see if there really is a difference, and know for sure with practical experience instead of something I've read. Okay, that's great. Well, have you done anything more with was it the Wireless Vienna Society?
They've been still working on the direct conversion receiver, and that's pretty much a finished project right now for them. Now they're trying to decide what they want to go to and come up with the next project. I think Farhan's been talking to Dean and into CQR
Bill,
about project that he's been working on, a double sideband transceiver that he's trying to do for kids there in Hasblood. The last email I got from him, he was doing a set of boards and stuff up like that for basically it's a school project or something like that, the way it looks like, and they're going on stage at a time.
I noticed when I was watching Bill's last video there with his direct conversion receiver, and he simplified. He took out a couple of transistors and whatnot out of it. He took the RF, the transistor out of the front end for RF gain, and he's quite pleased with the results. And I'm sitting here thinking, I went the exact opposite, and I stuck an amplifier in the front end, and I'm really happy with the response to it. I was going to send him off an email, and I was going to send him that audio clip I did and said, well, there's a difference I found. But anyway, Bill likes going simpler the better.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Dwayne. And Eric, have you finally put this antenna of yours to bed, or are you going to wait for antenna weather to finish it off?
Try not to stop the session here, unmuting myself. No, antenna's up and running. It's the radials that I'm working on right now, getting them tacked down into the ground. But I was talking with the guys, the Carricks, doing the CW QSO on Monday about that, and we were talking about the differences between ground-mounted verticals and raised verticals, or I should say the radials, whether they're on the ground or not. But anyway, the current plan is to put about 30 66-foot radials and pin them to the ground. So make a nice large ground plane as much as possible. But even as is right now, with what I've got, I'm getting pretty good results listening to QSO between Roy, I think it is, in Kingston, and a guy in Bulgaria. So
Who in
pretty happy
Kingston?
with that. Roy, maybe Roy or Ray. Rick?
Rick.
No,
Rick. Must be Rick.
Rick.
Yeah, Rick was doing fine.
Was that he was the one who was talking to the Bulgarian?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Rick.
He's got a pretty impressive antenna system himself. He does very well.
I'm surprised you couldn't hear Frank though, or Frank couldn't hear you.
Yeah, one way or the other. I was pretty sure I could hear him, but he wasn't able to hear my transmission. But
I've been trying to dig out my QX articles on ground-mounted antennas, verticals with radials, and the efficiency of it and whatnot. But now hearing you are going to put down 30 radials, I think I'll check out those articles. But I'll wait till you have them all down in February, then I'll send it up. You only need to put down 8.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I figure, so I've got this old TV that I want to pull out the flyback transformer out of and make a spark gap generator. I'm going to use the vertical to see how far I get out. So
you'll get a visit.
Speaking of the spark gap transmitter, Fred Silent Key now, but Fred Hammond, he had a nice museum set up in Hammond Manufacturing down in Guelph. Now I never got to see him operate the spark gap, but I did go down twice for a tour down there, and Fred was quite the host. Anyway, he was telling the story where the last time he fired it up, he had people knocking on his door because he was upsetting the whole city.
Well, I figure the time to do it is now before I get my Canadian license, right? That would probably be the proper order to do things then, right?
Did you say you're going to get your Canadian? When are you writing?
When am I writing? Well, I got to do the spark gap first.
All right. Well, thanks.
Is that for full deniability? That's where you're going to do it? Well, you're not going to get your Canadian license first?
I had no idea. I mean, once I have a license, then it would behoove me not to create one. But before,
all right, where's the mute Eric button?
Everybody got the number to the tip line?
I think actually I may have this recording thing licked. Ken sent me a link here, which I had seen similar chatter about, but I just did a little experiment. It seemed to get rid of the echo, but we'll see. So fingers crossed. This recording, since you last heard the nice lady say the recording has started, might be good. So
we wait with bated breath.
Yeah.
So you picked an interesting time to choose to record.
Yeah, it's true.
What? Eric says he's going to get a Canadian license. Okay, we'll edit out all the other stuff about spark gap.
No.
I was going to say.
Isn't spark gap transmissions been prohibited by international law for like 100 years or something?
Yeah.
Or close to it.
Yeah.
The only thing I was hoping to actually have played with by this point was the VAR AC mode, but didn't quite get around to that today. Too much chainsawing, too much tractor work. So
just as a quick there, made me think there, speaking of spark gap, just quickly, has anybody here besides myself gone to seen Fred Hammond's radio museum?
I've gone to see it, but I didn't get in. It was closed.
Yeah,
I went years ago. When he was actually, it must have been about the time that he was, I think he actually set it up for us for the Mississauga Club at one point and did the spark gapping. Maybe that was about the time he got the knocks on the door. I don't know. Yeah. We did actually see it, I think. Yeah.
We went down with the Peel Club for a tour there, and he had a big tray of sandwiches out for us and everything. Like he was quite the guy. Okay, thanks, Eric. Ken, what have you been up to?
Oh, nothing much. Back when we were at Eric's farm for the weekend, Al Wolfrey came around with some goodies to sell, and I picked up a 40-meter QCX, the old one, and I didn't get around to looking at it, but eventually did, and he still had the original firmware on it, and which was the first revision. And it was, I think it was 1.0E or something like that. And it's currently at 1.9A, whatever. So I decided to look into upgrading the firmware. And I haven't done that with the in-circuit serial programming on the board. So I had to do some investigating and like the IDE uses the AVR dude. Well, someone had come up with a GUI version of AVR dude, and it's called AVR dude S. And what you do is you install it instead of doing it through command line. It's an actual interface. You enter all your settings and everything of how you want it burnt. And so I installed the software. I used my what do you call it? Uno clone as a programmer. So I had to install AVR. What was it? AVR ISP on it. And then I plug it into the QCX, and within 20 seconds, I had the firmware updated almost instantly. So it went pretty fast. That's a piece of software I'll be keeping on my laptop for sure.
2 hours of research for a 20-second upload.
Yeah, exactly. There's other ways of doing it, but it was more work and it would take a lot longer. But that worked pretty good. What else have I been doing? Back, I don't know. I think it was the SIGGEN or the SNA, and we were getting a parts list together and where to buy them from. And you guys know Q-Kit's down in Kingston there.
Yeah.
I like to order. I try and order locally.
Mm-hmm.
And their prices are pretty competitive. And I remember back with the SIGGEN or the SNA, I forget which one it was, we needed some nanos. And they had clones as well. They had the originals plus the clones. And I think I had ordered 25 or 30 or something like that. And when I got them, the first thing I usually do is install Blinky, the usual test example with the IDE, and every one of them would not upload. So I couldn't figure it out. And if you actually look on their website for the clones, it says in brackets, use the old bootloader.
I find that a lot, Ken, on any of the stuff I'm doing. It's all on any of these nanos. It's always using the old bootloader.
Well, it's a little bit different. Those ones I got back years ago had no bootloader on them. They were absolutely clean. So I did the same thing as I did for the QCX. I programmed them all with the bootloader, and it was the old one, of course, back in those days, and everything was fine. And then I just put all the software or firmware on it for the kits, and that was done. Back maybe a month ago, I was going through my my goodies there, and I only had one nano left, so I decided to order a couple more to have on hand from Q-Kits. Their prices went up a little bit, but they're still competitive. Again, I look at the website. It says use old bootloader, a loader. Well, I tried to do Blinky on these ones, and they would not work. I kept getting the AVR dude error, cannot read, blah, 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 blah. And I was trying to, I decided to try and put the bootloader on it, and they still wouldn't work. And I took a chance, and I said, hey, let's use a new bootloader. And voila. So their stock, according to the description, is assuming that it's using the old bootloader and it's not. They're using the new ones. So they need to change their website information or check both. You know, if it doesn't work on the old bootloader, try the new one. Yeah. So when I switched over to the new one, they were fine.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, you have to go up to Kingston and go in and drop in at Q-Kits and talk to the guy.
Yeah.
And then
that's an experience.
And we'll talk after.
Yeah.
The Kingston boys here will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
All right, okay. Thanks a lot, Ken, for that.
He means well.
Oh, I know. Michael, you're up next. How's things going in your shack?
Well, I've said what I was talking about earlier is the only thing I've done in the last little while. So
that's it.
Nothing else. That's all I've done.
Okay.
So what can I say? I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Too busy doing other non-radio stuff.
Oh, you're gonna have to do
anyway,
some coal pots oscillator stuff soon.
Yeah, I gotta do that. I'm well aware of that. I've got to sit down this month and next month and figure stuff out. And maybe I can do a presentation in December. I'll let you know.
Okay, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Good evening, Al. How's life?
Life is still going, which is a good thing. On the right side of the lawn or the grass. I like that. Haven't been up to too much. Last month I finished off that regen receiver I'd been working on. Got another one on the works right now for a 40-meter version from a different author. I think it's Dan Whistle. Did one where the front end is a Wheatstone bridge into a regen. So that's going to be the next project. The last week I've been playing, decided I needed a 17-meter dipole. Why? I guess I never had one before, and my G5RV doesn't like 17 meters, so decided to bite the bullet. Now, maybe I'm a little out of date, but when did the cost of a dipole center insulator skyrocket out of sight? I used to buy these things for $5 at a Hamfest, and you go to Radio World and it's $45. I can't believe it.
Does that include a balun?
No, it's just the center insulator and a coaxial connector.
Of course, buy a breadboard and cut it up.
Time to go to Dollarama and buy a few cutting boards.
And that's what I did.
Yeah, well, I had a sheet of phenolic board, so I cut one out and machined it and made one. But I was quite taken aback at that. I couldn't believe it.
$45?
Say again?
$45 for what is basically a piece of plastic?
Basically, well, it's got an SO239 connection on it, but just totally shocked. So anyhow, I made one. Had a learning experience trimming this dipole. I stapled this thing to the back fence, and on the ends, I folded them back 180 degrees with a cable clamp onto the end insulator, so that I could actually adjust the length of each leg before I actually cut the wire. And of course, I wrapped a bit of wire around it, trying to make that folded back loop as homogeneous or as one piece as I could. Got the VNA out, tuned it up beautifully, cut the wire, soldered the ends on, and I was about 8 inches too short. Had to splice some more back on and then cut as I tuned. But I was quite surprised the effect of folding back the loose end of the wire had on this dipole. I would have thought it would have acted as a single conductor once you fold it back on itself and twist it together, but it didn't seem to work that way. So live and learn. It's tuned up nicely now. Now this weekend I've got to hoist it up into the tree and then see what I can do on 17.
That's interesting because
this is bare wire, no?
Again, please.
This is bare wire you're using? It's bare wire you use?
What do they call this
When you
stuff?
folded
The copper clad stuff? No, it's braided steel copper clad.
Yeah.
But it was bare. It wasn't insulated. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of see how maybe, well, if it's bare wire, how the heck would that make any difference? Especially 6 inches of it or 8 inches of a difference. That's a lot.
I probably had 20 inches or more folded back, but yeah, it shocked me as well. I was confidently doing this tune-up, thinking I know what I'm doing, and then it bit me and said, no.
So
This is how you're supposed to do it.
So I guess the lesson is, if you're going back, if you have that much folded back, you're best off to trim off a bit of it anyways.
I think so.
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah. The folded back wire, how long do you think each loop would have been?
Well, lineal length was probably 20 inches or more. It wasn't really a loop. It was folded back 180 degrees. And I had a bit of a loop of shorting wire right at the end insulator to try to avoid the occurrence of a loop. So maybe it's, I guess some of these antennas are subject to wire diameter. So maybe that end was, in effect, a larger diameter. I'm guessing out loud right now, but anyhow, live and learn.
Relatively cheap lesson.
Yeah, it was learn something every day.
That's right. No, that's good.
Anyhow,
Did you have it folded over once or several times, back and forth?
Just once. So
Okay.
at the end insulator, I folded it back through the insulator 180 degrees and used a cable clamp to hold it in place. And then once I had all the length, I took the cable clamp off, wrapped it around a couple times, trimmed it off, and soldered it. But anyhow, there's something to be careful of before you actually cut, or maybe I've often read in some of the manuals or handbooks that trim a few inches at a time. I thought I'd get a little cocky and try probably trim a couple of feet all at once. And I had all my measurements the first time, second time, interpolated or extrapolated how much I had to take off, and when I cut it off, it was perfect.
Well, you think about it, Al. All the experts say trim inches, and you trim feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Measure twice, cut once.
The only thing is, it was my own wires, so I'm laughing.
Yeah.
But if I was posing as a so-called expert and helping somebody out, and I cut his antenna or his dipole too short, he'd be a little upset with me.
You'll have to do a little video recording of your regen and show it to us sometime, Al.
Sure. I have my claim to fame. They published a photo of it in Sprat magazine. So, hoo-ha, I'm famous.
Very nice.
I've seen that. Oh, I'll have to, which issue?
It just came in the mail about a week ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll have to go through that Sprat and see.
I haven't read the whole magazine yet. I have to.
Yeah. Well, back in the members news section where they're just doing chat. Yeah.
Okay. I'll have a look at that. You're a published author. Wow.
How about that?
Okay. Thanks, Al.
Okay.
Hey, Howard, how's things over there?
Oh, pretty good. Haven't really done much. Just sorting parts for that project.
Yeah.
So I pretty well have them all for that. I was interested in with that board company because I looked on the Group IO site, and apparently there's a board for the encoders. There's 4 encoders, so instead of connecting the wires to encoders, there's a board for that.
Right.
So that's what I was interested in, maybe making that up. So that's pretty well all I've done. And I came across this thing. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's an iambic paddle, but instead of mounted vertically, it's horizontally, like 2 piano keys. Have you seen that?
No.
Here, I'll put the link on chat. So I don't know. I read where it was if you have arthritis or something, it's easier to do that than to have your hand going back and forth on the paddles.
Oh,
that's pretty
I
cool.
don't know. Never seen that before, so I thought that was kind of interesting.
No, I've not seen that one before either.
Mm. So pretty well, that's all I've been up to. So now I can start putting something together.
Isn't that interesting?
Did you end up finding the BS 170s?
Yeah, I did actually. I got them. Well, I ordered the ones that you suggested as a backup when I did that other big order, and I found them on Amazon. So
okay.
So I have both. So I went from none to both.
There you go, Howard.
Oh, I didn't know you had any or had some.
These are yours.
Oh.
Got to go get them.
Now we have too many.
Well, you can come and get them a lot easier than Ken can.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Howard. Oh, yeah. When do you think you're going to actually start? Did you order any of those practice SMT kits?
Yeah, I did actually after you mentioned that. So I have that ready as well. So I'm going to just start with that and play around. And then I'm good to go. I'm going to start on the easier boards, like the small power supply, and then go from there. But I'm pretty well set.
Okay, make sure you record it because it could be entertaining for the rest of us to see your first go at SMD.
Yeah. I'll put the first try and the second try.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Okay, thanks, Howard. Hello, Drew. What's new with you?
Well, few things. Well, I showed you last Saturday. I picked up a true SDX, which is the sideband version of
Yep.
Is it QCX?
Yeah.
I think so. Anyways, and made a QRP contact with it a couple of days later.
Oh, good.
Which was made to Eastern Illinois, and the guy gave me a 4.4, and it's a really fun little radio to operate. I must admit, I didn't think it would be this good, but it's actually pretty selective and impressive little radio. But Al, I was thinking of you as I blew the regenerative FET out of my bio jumper. I made a mistake, connected a ground wire to a test point that I should not have, and blew the NPF 102 out. So there was a 4-state QRP thing that they were holding. They call it London Calling. It's all kind of hokey, but everybody gets on with their bio jumpers and tries to hear each other. And during that process, I did this and blew the FET out. So I have now received some replacement FETs. And you have the blue face one, I believe, Al.
That's correct, yeah.
So as do I. And you'll find that the Regen FET is an MPF 102. And I noticed on the forum that they were recommending using a J310. So better qualities all the way around. So they were suggesting people use this as a mod. So I'm going to try that. Anyways, try and get the bio jumper back up. I have not. This is quite a foray for me. For you guys, it's nothing. For me, playing around replacing parts and that sort of thing is something I've not done before. So we're going to see. I bought 3 because the first one probably won't survive, and hopefully the second one will. So I'll have a spare. That's about what I've been up to.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. Joe, didn't realize you blew up your rig, but you got the replacement parts already. So look forward to hearing your story about the actual how the replacement went.
Just the FET. Everything else is very nice, and it transmits beautifully. Just can't hear a thing.
I remember blowing the finals on my SW 40 transceiver QRP rig. I had a brilliant. I needed a signal generator, and I decided on 40 meters. And I thought, you know what? I'll use the SW 40 transceiver for it. So I thought, I'll just play around with the pod on there and bump the power up and down as I need it. I'm not paying any attention. I'm busy reading meters and dials and all that thing, and I'm playing with the pot and bumping up the power higher and higher and higher. And then all of a sudden, what's that smell? apparently you can go too far.
Well, the QDX has a lot of discussion about that. A lot of people bopping the finals on QDXs.
Oh, yeah, you were breaking up a little bit there. Hey, Howard, you got a comment there?
Yeah, I didn't hear which version QDX do you have, Drew? Because one has reverse polarity protection and the others don't. The one I have doesn't.
I'll have to look to see, Howard. I've forgotten. I believe you got yours before I got mine.
Yeah, because I have the original that doesn't have reverse polarity protection on it, and I know that's a thing that they talk about a lot.
It is. There's that, and the finals seem to be a little fragile.
Well, the reverse polarity protection isn't going to protect what you did, Drew, but nonetheless.
No. I did this on purpose. Like, I willfully attached the ground to the test point. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking.
But a lot of from what I've read, a lot of the final problems have been by too high an input voltage.
Okay.
Like, it depends how you wind it, like for 12 volts or 9 volts.
Yes.
And some people are running 13 volts when it's wound for 12.
Yeah.
And if you look at that chart, that's too high.
Yeah.
Ken, you have a comment?
Yeah, just the about the J310s. They're
yes.
Great FET. They've been around a lot. I've got maybe a dozen here. Diz used to sell them by the truckloads, and I stocked up on some. I don't know how many I got, maybe a dozen or so. But they're very hard to find. And if you order them off eBay, you're getting fakes. I went through that.
These from DigiKey.
What's that?
I got these from DigiKey.
Oh, really? Well, are they the through hole?
Yes.
Okay, because when I looked, they didn't have any.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess I was lucky then. I didn't realize they were in short supply.
Yeah. And there was a discussion. I forget what forum it was. Looking for sources, and apparently there was somewhere in the States there. Guy was selling J310s, and he swears they're authentic. So I ordered 30 of them.
Oh wow!
But they didn't ship to Canada. But I have a relative in Michigan that I had it shipped to, and she'll be bringing them up in about a week and a half. So I'll grab those, run them through my tester, make sure they're authentic, and if you need any, just let me shout.
So we'll be able to tell by the next meeting then, by the look of your face, as to whether they were fakes or not.
Yeah.
or actually not so much fakes as inferior.
Yeah.
But okay. Well, thanks there, Drew. Look forward to seeing how your repair goes.
Me too. Thanks.
Okay, Wayne, last but not least, how's things over there?
Everything's going fine. By the way, can you hear me? Because I didn't have my microphone plugged in last time we spoke. Let's see, what's happened for me is I recently kind of rebuilt my shack. I had to move it about 10 feet down the wall so I could get access to a window. So I put in a larger tabletop and put in some drawers under it. So I spent an abnormal amount of time just sitting at my desk going, oh, this is so good. Anyways, I have finished a kit that I had standing by. It was a regenerative radio kit, and it's from MFJ. Those are fabulously expensive kits to buy, but I thought it looked good enough to put up on my above my rig. Anything that I would make in my own will stay in the lab, I think. Just one other thing, I have been progressing on a little project I have, trying to figure out how to measure the Q of a tuned circuit. And I don't mean the Q in circuit, I mean the unloaded Q, as that's a sort of a design measurement that I can work from. And so I found about 3 techniques. I've finished having fun with one. I will be doing another one starting tomorrow. So I think maybe next month I'll be able to do a little show and tell about it.
Oh, that'll be great. Okay, I'll chat with you later about that then. And it's interesting you mentioned that because in one of the millions of emails and news feeds I get with electronic kind of oriented stuff, I came across an article that talked about measuring Q of circuits and stuff like that. I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to come back to that and pay attention to it. So I'm gonna, now you brought that up, I'm gonna have to go back through my emails and see if I can find that article again. If they seem to be of somewhat of an interest for something down the road, I save it, and then it takes me about 6 months to go back to it to read it again.
Yeah, I've got like a year.
Yeah,
on my desk.
I'd say there was something. I don't know if it came from. Oh, I can't think of where it would come from. But anyway, we'll have to have a look at it. Okay, I'll be interested in seeing how that works out for you then. That's great. Okay, oh, that's the end of the list there. Any other comments or queries before we call it?
No.
No? Okay. All right, well, thanks everybody for coming out tonight, and enjoyed it as usual, and we look forward to seeing everybody in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure what we've got on tap yet. I better check my list, and if we don't have anything, then I'll send out the SOS. Okay, guys, have a good evening, and we'll chat with you later.
All right.
Okay, Peter and Eric came back for